Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are looking at 5 different US House races that are incredibly interesting and should actually be followed closely during this midterm cycle. The top 5 most interesting races. I originally was going to do top 10, but then I narrowed it down seeing as it was taking too long for me to cover all of them. So I am going to go over the top 5 races that I find most interesting and the ones that we should be watching the most closely come November. So let's get started with Michigan's 3rd. This is the 5th most interesting district to watch. Michigan's 3rd district is an interesting one to watch because of John Gibbs. John Gibbs primaried out Peter Meijer, as we all remember, and if we look down here, it's not looking too good for him in polling. This is, however, a Skolton internal, meaning that we can't really trust this. This is also public policy polling, and they tend to be trash. So it's not like it matters a whole lot, as we don't have any serious polling for this race as of now. But this race is considered largely to be leaning to Hillary Skolton because of Peter Meijer getting primaried. The district is now D+1 according to the PVI from Cook Political Report. And so it is considered a long shot that Gibbs could actually win this race. But with the national environment actually looking good for him, it is possible that he can win. Again, I don't think he is, this is a picture of him by the way, I don't think Gibbs is the most extreme candidate that the GOP could run. I know he's said things in the past that sound questionable, but on the whole, when I watch him talk in interviews and such, he actually seems like a pretty likable, reasonable guy who doesn't play politics so much. He's not overtly partisan. He's probably partisan more underneath for certain for Trump to have endorsed him to primary out Peter Meijer. But he is definitely not a Marjorie Taylor Greene by any means. So I am interested to see how well he does. I think that if Hillary Skolton just like caves or something, this could be an interesting race. She's not the most known candidate, but she is getting support from some Meijer Republicans, and Gibbs just does not seem to have the momentum. Again, though, this is a Republican-leaning year. Anything could happen, and it is possible Gibbs is able to barely pull it off. My ranking right now for this race is tilt D. I believe this race will flip, if I had to guess right now, but it is fair for RCP, Fox News, and DDHQ to all keep this in the toss-up category, seeing as this is a very competitive race, and anybody could really win this. So, we are going to now look at the 4th most interesting race, and that is Maine's 2nd Congressional District. The incumbent here is Jared Golden, who easily won renomination. He got about 25,000 votes. If we look back here, he won re-election by around 6 points in 2020, which was an outstanding performance considering Trump carrying the district. If we look even farther back, we can see that he actually defeated the same person he is running against this year, which is Bruce Poliquin. Bruce Poliquin is not the most popular candidate, I will say that. He's running a good campaign from everything I've heard about him, but he is not as popular as Jared Golden in the district. Jared Golden is an electoral juggernaut, and for Golden to be able to win the district in a year Trump won the district simultaneously is an impressive feat. I would say, as of right now, this race is definitely leaning towards Golden. The Economist, Fox News, and DDHQ all have this as a lean R flip, while 538 says lean D, and this is one time where I would agree with 538 and rank this race as lean D. polling is also showing it, although we don't have that much polling yet. University of New Hampshire, their polls are wonky. I don't tend to trust them. But then we have polls like this that also show a 7-point lead, and it just doesn't seem likely that Poliquin can really pull it off, given Golden's popularity and his status as an electoral juggernaut. I believe this race really could go to Poliquin if it gets to be bad enough in the national environment to the point where Golden simply cannot keep up. Also, I would not put an overt amount of merit into these polls, considering the fact that Maine polling is not good. We've seen this before in 2020, and it will likely not be good again. However, my rating right now for this race is lean D. Looking at the next election, we are going to look at Oregon's District 5. This is a very, very interesting race to follow. Excuse me. I have actually watched the debates for this race. It is currently being contested by Democrat Jamie McLeod-Skinner and Republican Lori Chavez-DeRemer. McLeod-Skinner primaried out the incumbent Kurt Schrader, which is what makes this such a high-profile race, because the question really is whether or not McLeod-Skinner will be able to hold the seat for her party and successfully be primarying out Schrader while doing so, or if she will have primaried out Schrader for no reason. Now, according to most news organizations right now, this race is largely a toss-up. Pretty much everybody has this as a toss-up. 538 has had it as a Lenar flip one time, but they removed that quickly, and only The Economist considers this race to be leaning to the Democrats. It really could go either way. Personally, based on the debates, I would say McLeod-Skinner maybe has a slight edge, but she is, again, not the strongest opponent, considering the fact she primaried out an incumbent, and there are going to be repercussions for that. I could very well see her losing. I could see plenty of Schrader supporters not turning out for McLeod-Skinner, considering she is way more progressive than he is, which is why, largely why, of course, Schrader was primary to begin with, because he was being challenged from the left. So, I would consider this race to possibly be leaning towards McLeod-Skinner, but I think Chavez-DeRemer has a shot. As of right now, I think I'm going to say tilt R for Lori Chavez-DeRemer, based off of the national environment, and also the fact that McLeod-Skinner had a divisive primary to go through. This is an interesting race. I think everybody should be watching this one, and I don't think enough people really have been. So we will move on to the second most interesting race, and that is the 34th District in the state of Texas. Texas is an interesting state. This race is particularly interesting because it pits two incumbents against one another. They are Mayra Flores and Vicente Gonzalez. Vicente Gonzalez, maybe is how you say it. Gonzalez has some moderate policies which are perhaps going to help him during this red wave midterm, but Mayra Flores is relatively a juggernaut considering her ability to even flip the seat to begin with. Gonzalez also has a number of scandals about him that have been coming out, and so many news organizations have been moving this race to toss-up. So we can see right here, the Cook Political Report, Cebetis Crystal Ball Politico, and RCP all have it as a toss-up, while Fox News, DDHQ 538, and Inside Elections have it lean D, and The Economist gives it a likely D rating. Right now, I would personally say this race is lean to tilt D for Vicente Gonzalez. This polling right here shows Flores only behind 4 points in a district that is D+9 according to the PVI. meaning that she really does have a shot at actually winning. We look back here at 2022, she swung the district 9 points to the right and was able to pull off a win because of that, which is incredibly interesting and very, very impressive, considering the fact that before that it had voted for Philemon Vela Jr. by about 13.5 points. So, looking back, I would agree this race is leaning to Vicente Gonzalez, and I would give this rating the lean D flip. However, since Gonzalez has scandals, and since Mayra Flores is an incumbent and somewhat of a juggernaut as from what we've seen of her thus far, I would say she has a decent chance at flipping the district, or keeping the district in her hands, primarily due to those factors, and also the fact that Hispanics have swung vastly to the right, including the Latino community. So, our final district, as you probably already saw, is District 2 of Rhode Island, which is going to be the most interesting race in my opinion. This race is incredibly interesting to watch, primarily because this is Rhode Island, and Alan Fung, the Republican, is actually ahead in all polling and is seen to be getting around a quarter of the Democratic vote. The Democrats, oddly enough, seem to support Fung largely because he is a moderate Republican with more moderate policies, who is pro-choice. He would be considered a rhino by most Republicans, but he is the only type of Republican that could possibly win this race against Rhode Island's general treasurer and candidate for governor of Rhode Island, Seth Magaziner. I believe this race is truly tilting towards Fung. I think it is going to be incredibly close. I think it is an interesting race primarily because of the fact Republicans have not had a seat in Rhode Island for a long time. I would have to go back and see how long ago it has been since they had a seat in Rhode Island, but it has certainly been forever since that has happened, and so it would be a massive feat for Fung to be able to pull this off, and definitely making it definitely warranting the title of the most interesting race to be watching this cycle. RCP right now has it as a lean R flip, and I would agree. The rest of these predictors, I think, should either change their rating to toss-up or to tilt Democrat would still be reasonable, but again, I know this is Rhode Island, but Fung seems to be running away with it right now, and so I would actually be comfortable giving this a flip rating. So that is my video regarding the most interesting races in the U.S. House of Representatives to look at this year. Let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments down below. Let me know if you would add anything or swap out any races in my list. I know it's an interesting collection of races, I will give you that. So if you have any suggestions, please leave them down there, and thanks for watching, and bye.